My entitled mother is demanding that I pay off all of her debt after she got into a multi-level marketing scheme last year. She even goes as far as calling me selfish and evil for not being willing to pay her the thousands of dollars that she's in debt with this company. And now she's taken things a step further, as she is now saying that if I don't pay off her debt, she's going to exile me from the entire family. And right now, I feel so very hurt, and I simply do not know what to do. Here's what happened. So my mother got herself into a multi-level marketing scheme last year, despite my brother and I warning her against it. She quit her job because the multi-level marketing scheme people told her that this was her chance to become an entrepreneur and independent. My dad is supporting her financially now, as well as my 4 younger siblings. She pretty much gave up on the oils after selling them to everybody that she knows. She still has a lot more left to sell, but now she wants to do something else because she doesn't feel like she's her own boss under this company. She overestimated how many people want to buy her product, and now she is thousands of dollars in debt. She won't get a job, and my dad can't afford to pay it off without selling the house and his car. My brother has 3 kids in private school, so he doesn't have much money to spare, and I'm on maternity leave, and the amount she needs will wipe out my savings, and I'd have to use my husband's money as well to cover this debt, which I just don't think is fair, especially since she doesn't want to get a job after this debt is cleared, because she is some entrepreneur at heart, and according to her, working for someone else's company is soul crushing. She wants to open a food truck even though they aren't popular in the town that she lives in, and always go out of business sooner or later. My mom is a bad cook, but she's competing with professional chefs, and I'm sure she'll give up as soon as it gets hard. My dad says he plans to sell the house and his car and move his tenants out of the apartment that he owns. My mom called me crying because she loves her neighborhood and has lived here for 35 years. She says that I'm selfish and evil for not paying her debt because she'll pay me back when she expands her food truck business. She doesn't understand why I don't just use my husband's money, since according to her, he won't notice that it's gone. My mom has threatened to not allow me to see my younger siblings, who I am very close with too, by the way, and she's basically said she's gonna have me exiled by our entire family. So this leads to my question: would I be the jerk if I refused to clear this debt, even though I could, all because my mom is threatening me? Because at this point, I am very frustrated, and right about now, I seriously don't know what to do. No, you are not the jerk. There is so many sketchy things going on here, it is not even funny. First of all, I think you need to understand that no, this is not your problem. Like, you and your brother basically said, hey, this is a scheme, you really should not get into this. Like, you guys tried to get through to her. You tried to explain to her exactly why this is a bad idea, but she still decided, ooh, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to be independent. But with these multi-level marketing schemes, that is just literally never possible, because these schemes only deplete your bank account, and it leaves you with all this crappy product in your garage that just sits there and rots and collects dust. So in that regard, it's her own fault for being thousands of dollars in debt. Not to mention the fact that she's unwilling to get a job just to get rid of this debt. Like, seriously, what is she thinking? That is so insane to me. Instead of badgering your children and being like, oh, I'm gonna exile you from the family, or even being like, yeah, you're never gonna see your younger siblings again, why not just get a job and figure this out as you go along? Like, even your dad is like, yeah, I gotta sell everything because she won't get a job and figure this out. Like, all of this is literally her own fault, and yet she still comes to you and calls you selfish and evil for not paying off her debt. But it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't put you in this mess. I tried to warn you about this mess and you still ignored me. So in my opinion, the fact that she's giving you an ultimatum of her basically saying, oh, pay for my debt or you're out of the family, like, that seriously is more than enough for me to walk away and be like, no, I am not getting involved in this. Because that is not only an awful thing to say to a family member of all people, but also it shows completely how awful your mom actually is. Because this entire scenario is literally her own fault. And in my opinion, I don't think you should have to sacrifice thousands of dollars just to try and save her from her own self-inflicted debt. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for agreeing to split the bill on a double date, which is starting to lead to my best friend's relationship falling apart? Because right now she is blaming me for things going south, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 22-year-old female and I'm really unsure of what to do right now. My best friend and roommate, who we will call Amy, that's not her real name, had been seeing a guy for about 2 months. She really likes him and it seemed like it was going super well. Last night, she asked if I'd go along with a blind double date, meaning that she would go with this guy that she's dating, and I would go with one of his friends who is also single and looking for a relationship. Now, I wasn't keen at first, but she insisted, so I agreed. We got to the restaurant, which is just a nice place in our area, and things seemed to be going fine. The friend she was setting me up with was really cool, but I'm not looking right now and I didn't really feel any kind of spark. We get to the end of the dinner and the bill comes around. Amy chimes in and says, "Don't worry, our men have got this." To which I say back, "Oh no, I don't mind." We had had 2 cocktails each, and it wasn't a crazy expensive place, but also not very cheap. Now, much to my surprise, a bit of a back and forth started to happen. Amy kept insisting it was always the gentlemen who pay. So I said something like, "Well, you can do you, but I'm happy to split the bill." The guys were saying that they would cover, but both seemed very uncomfortable. They paid and then we left, and Amy and her boyfriend went back to his place, and I said goodnight to his friend and went home alone. Later on, Amy texted me saying her man is now contemplating the relationship because he doesn't want someone who always insists that the men pay. She told me that I ruined it by offering to split, and I should have just sided with her and not made things worse. She's now saying he needs time and might not want to continue the relationship with her at all. So honestly, am I the jerk for possibly breaking them up? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first of all, I don't think you're the jerk at all, because I don't think you did anything wrong. I've been on enough double dates to know that it's not that out of the ordinary to split the bill amongst everybody there. So the fact that your friend Amy decided to make a big deal out of this and really try to hammer home the point that the guys are gonna pay for it, it's gonna be them, that's just super weird, and it really is kind of cringy behavior in my opinion. And it really seemed like it was a hill that she was willing to die on. And also, why is Amy coming at you as if you did something? Last I checked with the conversation, you didn't really do anything wrong. All you said was, "Hey, I'm gonna pay for my stuff." And now she's trying to make it sound like you broke up her relationship. You didn't do anything wrong. And why should you have to side with her automatically? Her thought process of "Oh yeah, the men'll pay," in my opinion, isn't this golden rule that everybody abides by, but rather it's just her own opinion, or she just didn't want to pay, which I think might be what's going on here. So no, I don't think you're the jerk. I really don't think you did anything wrong. And if your friend's relationship is falling apart because of this, of all things, then in my opinion, it probably was not gonna last that long in the first place. Am I the jerk for refusing to make pizzas for everyone at my sister's graduation party, all because they told me literally at the last minute that they wanted me to do that? Because right now, I'm being called lazy by my family, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 20-year-old male, and I went to a culinary school and have been working in professional kitchens since I was 18 years old. Even though I'm an adult, since I'm the youngest child in my family and one of the youngest relatives in general, a lot of the times it's difficult for me to get my relatives to take me seriously or keep me in the loop about anything. I attended my sister's graduation earlier today, and right after, I carpooled home with my mom. It isn't until while we were in the car driving to my mom's house for the graduation party that I was told that I was supposed to make pizza for everyone at the party. Now, I've made pizza for my family before, not because anybody asked me to do it, but instead it was purely because I wanted to. The thing that is frustrating me more than anything is that multiple people knew about this ahead of time, but they decided to tell the person who's actually responsible for making them at the very last minute. On top of that, my family is massive. There is most likely going to end up being about 14 or 15 people at this party. Now, if you're not that into cooking, you might not understand how much of a grueling process making pizza from scratch truly is. Between making the dough, the sauce, and actually cooking them, it is a process I need to be ready for literally multiple days ahead of time, just so I can have everything ready and set. Well, I told them that I was sick of being kept out of the loop and not being treated like an adult by everyone in my family, and yet everyone still relies on me constantly cooking for everyone every single time there's a family event. I told them that I will not be making pizza today, and if anyone wants anything from me, I won't do it unless I'm completely kept in the loop of what's going on, and I want to be told about things multiple days ahead of time. Now, to be honest, I feel bad for my sister because she was very excited to try my homemade pizza, but I had to explain to her why it wasn't going to happen, and I told her I can make her one later in the week as a graduation present. My parents think that I'm just being petty and just not making them because I'm being lazy. So I need to know, am I the jerk for not making the stupid pizzas? Because I seriously do not think that I did anything wrong. No, you are definitely not the jerk. Your family are the jerks here. Seriously, what's going on? They waited until you were in the car on the way to the graduation party to be like, "Oh, by the way, you're gonna be stuck in the kitchen making food for all of us." I'm right there with the original poster. If I'm gonna be doing something that intensive, I really want to know about it ahead of time. I don't want to find out on the fly suddenly while I'm there at the party. And definitely not while I'm on the way to the party itself. Like, I would want to mentally and physically prepare to get this done. And here's my assumption, to be completely honest. I really think the original poster would have done this for their family if they were at least told about it sooner than the last minute. Like, that is seriously so obnoxious and it is so unfair. So no, you are definitely not the jerk, because if I was in your shoes, I really think I would do the same thing. And the fact that they want to call you lazy and try to shift blame over to you, in my opinion, completely shows how out of touch they truly are. My wife walked out on me and my daughter 2 years ago, and now out of nowhere has suddenly returned and wants to be a family again. But after raising my daughter by myself for 2 years, as well as taking on the responsibility of being a single father, I told her plainly that I'm considering divorce, because right now I feel very hurt and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so 2 years ago, my wife pulled the classic, I'm gonna go buy some smokes, and then just disappeared. She suffered from depression, and I did my best to take the load off of her and help her get the help that she needed. She would keep saying how she was sick of everything, even our daughter, and again, I would give her space and try to accommodate her every request. Then she just up and disappeared. She took some of her stuff and she was just gone. I had gone to pick up our daughter at school after work, and after we came home, she was gone. The police was involved, but after 3 days, she called her mother saying she was fine, but wished for us to not look for her or to contact her. And trust me, when this happened, it was really hard. Working, raising our daughter as a single father, trying to explain to her why mom was gone, and not knowing what to say when she asked if mommy would ever be back. At the same time, I appreciated the strong bond I built with my daughter, and that really helped a lot. I never looked into filing for divorce, but around last summer, I met a woman that we will call Jane. Jane is not her real name, and we started on an on and off again relationship. She knows all about my situation, and although we are currently on break, she is still a big help and has an established rapport with my daughter as an aunt figure. Now, I was thinking about getting the ball rolling on divorce, that is, until about 2 weeks ago when my wife returned. She was completely apologetic, but she also seemed to have become a new person entirely. She was upbeat, she was pro-positive, and almost had a glow about herself. She popped back in by basically saying, "Hey guys, what did I miss?" And after our initial shock, my daughter and I became indifferent. In the last days, my daughter has warmed up to her, but I didn't. She tried to be close to me after about 2 nights, but I told her I was not comfortable about it, and I asked her to move into the guest room, which she did, saying that she completely understands. I then asked her where she's been these last few years, and she pretty much said that she toured the world and that she had found herself. I told her pretty bluntly that I was looking for divorce and that there's already someone else. She said she completely understands if I hate her now, which I don't, but maybe I can give her a chance to make it up to us. So right now I am torn. I still have feelings for her and I'm glad my daughter got her mother back, but how can I trust her to not just walk out on us? What am I supposed to do with Jane? Am I just gonna say thanks for everything but my wife is back, see you later? I'm honestly at such a loss, and at this point I don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, first and foremost, I think it is absolutely toxic the way your wife is acting. You mean to tell me she took a 2-year vacation away from you and your daughter just so she could find herself and then pop back into the family? Like, there's no good excuse for that. Like, she literally abandoned the family and then tries to come back and act like nothing's wrong. Like, what is happening right now? This is so bizarre to me. In my opinion, if she really thinks she can walk into your life again and try to pretend like nothing's wrong and nothing changed and everything's fine, then she's completely insane. Not to mention the fact that she's like, oh, I found myself. I spent these last few years to tour the world. Like, what are you talking about? You walked out on your husband and your daughter, literally leaving your husband to raise their kid by themselves. Like, that is so incredibly toxic and so disgusting to do to someone. So with all things considered, I don't blame you for being upset, because from the sounds of it, she is definitely a flight risk. And in my opinion, there's absolutely nothing saying that she won't try to do this once again. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay for half of my ex-girlfriend's flight that she can't use, all because we broke up? Because right now she's calling me a jerk, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my girlfriend and I broke up about 2 weeks ago. It was more her call than mine, but we both knew that things weren't going well for a while. So I was sad, but honestly not surprised. We ended things amicably and said we'd still be friends. Anyways, we did the exchange of things in each other's apartments a couple of days after the breakup, and then we didn't really talk again until about 2 days ago when she texted me. We had been planning to go on a trip to the Canary Islands this year, and the plane tickets were about $800 a piece, and the Airbnb was about $1,600. So we decided I'd just pay for the Airbnb and she she would pay for the flights. Now, the flights were non-refundable, and we are already past the day that I'd get any kind of meaningful refund from the Airbnb, so I decided I'd just get a friend to split the Airbnb and go anyways. I had been planning on telling my ex that I'd pay her for my ticket so that she didn't lose the money, but she texted me about it first. On Friday, she offered to pay me for the Airbnb minus the cost of my plane ticket because she was still interested in going with a friend. So I told her that I was actually planning on going with a friend too, but I was going to pay her for my ticket and still go. She said okay, but I actually needed to pay her for my ticket and half of the cost of hers because she can't use it now. Basically, she says that she agreed to buy 2 plane tickets under the understanding that we would both go on the trip, and I agreed to pay for the Airbnb under the same understanding, but since that's not happening, we should both evenly share the cost. Since I'm still using the room and my ticket, the only lost cost is her $800 ticket, and we should each bear $400 of that. Well, I told her that I didn't think that's fair at all. First of all, it was her idea to break up, so the reason we aren't going is all on her, and secondly, there's no reason why she can't use her ticket. She should just get an Airbnb and still go with her friend. I even said I'd sit in her friend's seat and let her friend sit in my seat so they can sit together. Whether or not she uses her ticket is on her, and she bears any cost of that. Well, she said she didn't want to go at the same time as me, and also the good Airbnbs are taken for that time. Anyways, we went back and forth, and she even threatened to cancel the tickets, even though she can't get any of the money back. So I said to her, you know what, go ahead and cancel them. Get whatever refund you can, I'll just buy my own ticket and not pay you back anything. She then said to me, I'm not gonna talk to you if you're gonna be a jerk. Let's talk about this later when you could be mature. And that's honestly where it is right now. My friends are divided, and most say I should at least pay her for my ticket, which I am willing to do if she doesn't cancel it. But some say I should pay for her half as well. But I'm sticking firm that I won't be paying for her half of the ticket. So honestly, am I the jerk here? What should I do? Okay, honestly, I don't understand any reasoning why you would pay for her half of the ticket. Like, it literally just doesn't make any sense. It seems like she's trying to get out of paying for her part of it, and honestly, that is not your problem. Like, she's being unreasonable, and it's just really annoying. So no, I don't think you're the jerk for refusing to pay what she's asking for, because it literally just doesn't make any sense. And if she's honestly unhappy with this scenario, then I think she needs to be a little bit more reasonable. Am I the jerk for not wanting my family to come to my graduation, all because they skipped out on my brother's graduation? Because right now, I feel it would be very unfair for them to show up, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my brother graduated last year. His graduation date got moved 3 days earlier than what it was originally supposed to be, and it resulted in none of our family members on my dad or my mom's side attending the ceremony, besides me and our dad. Our brothers went to their friend's wedding, our aunts and uncles went to work, and our cousins just didn't come or couldn't come. But he was really hurt by this. Everyone who didn't come along, by the way, tried to act like this wasn't necessarily a big deal to him and told him that they were sorry that they had to miss it, but kinda dismissed it as having other plans and other stuff going on. Well, he just kind of accepted it to their face. But since I'm graduating, now he's starting to get upset again. I graduate in 5 weeks, and on Thursday, me, my brother, and my dad were all in the living room, and my dad was talking about how the whole family couldn't wait to see me walk across that stage, and they just kept blabbering on and on. My brother didn't really say anything, but instead he just kept looking at his phone, but I could see his facial expression had changed. I felt bad for him again, and told my dad that I would rather the family just come to my graduation dinner afterwards instead, and just for him and my brother to come along. Now, my dad asked me why, and told me that the family was looking forward to seeing me graduate, but I told him that I understand that, but I just didn't want them to be there. He kept pressuring me on a better reason, but I didn't really want to say it in front of my brother because I didn't want to make him upset. So I just told him that I just didn't want them there. Later that night, I tried to talk to my dad alone, and I tried to explain that since the family didn't come to my brother's graduation, that I don't want them at my graduation because then I would feel guilty, and I don't want to feel guilty when I graduate. Now, I thought he would finally understand, but he just didn't. He told me that they didn't choose to move the graduation date, and I explained to him that I understand, but it still doesn't mean that I have to want them there. He didn't like this and basically told my brother about it too, and my dad kept trying to convince me to change my mind, but I don't think I should have to. I'm even thinking about sending a text in the group chat to let everyone know sometime tomorrow. And with that, I really need to know, would I be the jerk for doing this? Because right now, I'm seriously unsure of what to do. Honestly, first and foremost, I think it's really kind that you're standing up for your brother, and you're basically saying, look, the fact that he got neglected is not okay, and if these people want to neglect my brother and deny him the chance to celebrate his graduation, all with phony excuses by the way, then they don't deserve to come to your graduation. And I think that notion is very noble and it's very kind of you. So I don't think you would be the jerk for saying, you know what, just come to the after party. I don't want them at the graduation and I would rather they just not show up at all. Like, that really is a sweet gesture, and I think your brother would probably like that if you explained it to him in detail. So while I think the idea is a good idea to a certain extent, I think it would still be a good idea to talk with your brother and try to get a gauge for how he feels about the situation, and especially to figure out if he would even want you to do that in the first place, because there is a chance he won't really care or want you to do that, and he might have just moved on already at this point in his life. But regardless, I think this is a very kind gesture, and I wouldn't blame you in the slightest if you did decide to do that. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.